My name is Haroon Mirza and I'm just showing a work called Emerging Paradigm here at the Matadero. The images in the videos are, it's a collage of basically footage, mostly footage that I've shot on my iPhone for the last 3 years maybe, I think. But some of them span back 4 or 5 years maybe. If I'm somewhere and I see something, I just film it. So I wasn't thinking of filming it intentionally for this piece, but I just went through all my things, you know, my footage and put this thing together. There's also a couple of clips from YouTube, which are educational videos, one about circulation of blood.
I want to figure out how blood gets from my heart, which I'm going to draw here, all the way to my toe.
The funny thing about the YouTube videos is one of them is kind of incorrect. The information is kind of wrong. It's a composition, you know, so composition can be used in many ways. You can talk about composition in space, you think about composition in sound or in time. So yeah, it's composition, but both simultaneously, visual and acoustic. If people go to see an art exhibition, they don't behave like they're in a nightclub. So it's a perceptual thing. You know, you're going to see art, so somehow you can't behave in that way. And I think that's starting to change. So that's the kind of interesting thing, what the perception is of being in that space. You know, how that feels. The interesting thing for me is not the work; it's more the synergy that people can create. So if there's people that are interested in music coming and people that are interested in art coming, those are different audiences, you know. So it's what happens between those different audiences that's the interesting thing, I guess. The title Emerging Paradigm is probably the most heaviest title that I've ever used, so there's a lot to think about if you want to, you know. The idea of the emerging paradigm, which is basically how the idea of contemporary art replaced modern art. Both words mean the same thing in essence, you know, but with modernism it became almost like a categorization in the market, and that's what happened with modern art. So you have museums of modern art. And then slowly that changed and people started talking about new things as contemporary art. The idea, or the emerging paradigm, it comes from a text by Mario Perniola, Italian art critic, who wrote about the contemporary paradigm. And he was referencing another writer, Natalie Heineck, who talked about the modern and contemporary paradigm. And you know, his criticism was that it's kind of like it's basically like a marketing thing. The contemporary paradigm is being replaced by an emerging paradigm. It's interesting to propagate that idea and talk about it and think about what an emerging practice is, what emerging art is. That practices have become they're infecting one another, like music and art and architecture and design. All these things can sort of become one again, rather than be separate sort of disciplines. There's nothing specific that I'm trying to tell someone to think about. You know, the work is not didactic in any way because it's so experiential. It's just that, you know, and then you leave. But I'd like to hope that that's not the case, because there's so much going on and so many different levels that I think, yeah, hopefully there is something that you can take home with you.